Many of you have asked me to make videos on intermediate level concepts for strategy and improvement, so I think you're going to really like this video. It's an excerpt of a 2-hour lesson that I did with Northernlion live on stream. He is a YouTube OG. He's made a lot of Let's Play walkthrough videos, and he's got thousands of videos here on YouTube, and he's around 1500 chess. So, this video, I want you to focus on the thought process it takes to get to his level. There's a lot of opening, middle game, and end game thought processes covered, and I hope you enjoy. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And then after that, we can do openings.
Yeah, let's do that then.
Okay, perfect. So this game in particular, the way I want you to think about this is if you're like 1500, that is like every game has a ton of value for analysis, because you're playing, I hate to say this, but real chess, you know? No one's hanging queens. You know, it's like your mistakes in a game, in a 1500 game, strategic, you know? Bad trade, bad decision with the pawn structure. So, okay, you started with c4, and you can see the moves, right?
Yep.
Okay, c4. He goes here. Okay, in every opening, there's like a spot where you go, something's bad, they did something bad. This game, it's move 1.
Yeah.
You can't play d5 against c4. It's already much worse for black.
That's what I felt like in the moment. I felt like immediately they were on the back foot.
Yes, I'll tell you why. Have you ever heard of the Scandinavian defense?
I've seen it pop up as I've been playing, but nothing more than that.
It's the same kind of thing, but notice it's against the king's pawn.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is there's a whole central pawn missing. So that's why doing this against the way, you see like the swap of the pawn?
Yeah.
As little as it is, this is already almost like winning for white, like borderline already winning. 100% of computers would win this with white from here. So normally what you do in a situation like this is you take the center. You just take the center immediately, which is what you did. But then he stops you from going here.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's e4.
Because obviously this. So bishop d2 is fine. I would probably like knights before bishops generally.
Okay.
Just because you know your knight's going to go here, and you don't necessarily know if your bishop will go here. But obviously it's not, you know, nothing bad. E4, fantastic. Bishop g4. I think nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. Okay, I love what you did here. This is a really instructive moment. So you played e5.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know now that the opening phase is over, you need to kind of like do something, right? You gotta.
Yeah, I have like initiative right now. I can kind of control what's happening.
Yes, and e5 is the best move. In fact, you know the crazy thing about this position? It's completely equal material, but Engine is saying it's +4 for white.
Oh, so it's like a piece up, basically.
Piece and even a pawn, yeah. And notice e5 is the only move. So this is very important, guys. Like, guy doesn't have central control. E5, best move. Knight d5. So then take, and then you immediately use the open c file. So this is great. So far, everything is fantastic.
Oh, thank you. That'll change pretty soon, I think.
Well, but that's why a game like this is so good. So you played queen c2, and you might not remember exactly. Obviously, you recorded the game, but
I can actually tell you like what my methodology was in the moment.
Okay.
So I, you know,
Here?
first I'm on a little bit of time crunch, yeah, in the game to some extent. But yeah, I thought c8, like it's not necessarily good, but I guess it's kind of clever if he doesn't do anything to respond to it. You know, you put him in check, he takes your queen, you take his rook, and then the only way out of mate is, you know, to do that. And materially it's the same, but it felt kind of clever.
No, so there's absolutely nothing wrong with the move queen c2. It's just that it's like flashy, but at best, what's going to happen is you'll trade a lot of pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Queen c7 is better than queen c8 because at least you get the rook in, and then you can like take this and you can put some pressure on this. So this is a bit more of a tactical pattern, which is very important to keep in mind. It's the open diagonal to the king on the queen side.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
This will happen, and the best move is queen a4. Which the computer does agree with, because this is just like almost impossible to defend. And there's something even more brutal here. Let's say black plays rook d8, defending the knight. Bishop a5.
Right, yeah.
So You just basically you play where you're stronger, and since you can move two guys over here and just destroy, and you have the rook, queen a4, and like this knight is loose because the bishop is disconnected. Queen a4, and then like for example bishop b5, and let's say I'm just gonna play a random move. You have something else. You have like e6, for example.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Clearing the square for your knight, right? So something like this, and even like knight e5 in the future. Just going for like the kill, total kill. Like don't even give him a chance. So then here, when the king moves over, I like queen f5. The computer isn't thrilled because of this move, but you see how you're spending like a lot of time with the queen.
Yeah, moving the same piece too much.
Yeah, and he goes like e6, he gets a little time. When I was looking at the game, this move I audibly gasped at. You played b3.
Okay.
It's not a blunder, but at this level, one move can change the game. So this move is just something called, it's just too slow.
Yeah.
It's too slow. Like, you don't need that pawn. So what you do need is you need to create threats because you have the initiative. You like you said, you have a lead in development. Why are you +3 in this position? Like, why would you describe it? Why are you +3?
Okay, let me think about it for a second. There's a couple things I like I have control over the C file already. Their king, it cannot castle, which is kind of like a very quick way for them to get a little bit more defensible there. And just not being able to castle and having their king open kind of means that the opponent has to deal with threats more readily, I suppose. Like they actually have to use some of their pieces to reinforce it instead of just like sequestering it, if they castle kingside on G8. The fact that the king is moved over to D makes this pawn pretty vulnerable, especially if I can get my knight here, for example, and then in some way we can put some pressure on the bishop maybe, and obviously it threatens the fork, but they probably wouldn't let it happen, but in stopping it they would give up some kind of advantage. It can't be realized right away, but the bishop does get to pin the queen against the king, and there's maybe ways that we can manifest that. And like moreover, like this knight sucks for them. Like there's no way that they can get it out. This bishop's like, it doesn't seem great for them. This bishop maybe is a little bit more powerful, but still not developed at all. So I just feel like I've got a way more aggressive position where I kind of control what's happening.
So the key that you kind of brought up was like this, like this little area. If you can successfully just do something here on this side of the board. Remember earlier I said queen a4.
Yeah.
Queen a4, like you were better on the queen side. Now you're better on the king side because your queen's here. And one move that that the machine was trying to get you to play was h4. Sometimes pushing a pawn in front of your king like this, it does have a very legitimate threat because it stops this from happening. And the problem is, like you said, black's just going to play this. And yes, that is absolutely true. So then you'll have to move your queen back. Doubling the rooks could be the best idea. Because this move also wants this.
That's true, yeah.
And if you double, it's a really big problem. For example, this just loses because of this.
Right,
black,
yeah.
I mean, and then you also have this on top of that. And like, for example, if queen takes b2, this is not under attack.
Because of the knight, yeah.
Yeah, because of the knight. So, okay, like you'll lose a pawn or two, which obviously, oops, sorry, definitely not there. Here, yeah, I mean, that's how you lose. So like doubling up the rooks, and it says +3. The problem with a game like this is that it's really hard to see exactly why, but you described it quite well. It's because their king sucks. You have a lot more activity. King safety material are the top two. And then after that, it's piece activity and space and pawn structure. So you're winning on every single one except material. Material's equal in the position. You have a much safer king. Their king is bad. You have much more active pieces. Do you know how to count space?
I don't. I did when I was 12. I don't anymore.
It's just a fancy way of like, how many squares do you control or have vision on in their position? So 1, 2, because the pawns, 3, 4, etc. You can kind of count like that. But this rook is like, the c file is everything. But you're
Yeah.
always threatening to get on both sides. But there's one move, and your opponent starts like trying to wiggle out, And then you play knight g5. And what you let him do here a little bit, even though computer hated this, is you start letting him simplify. And he's a little happier simplifying, because that means less things to worry about. Less kind of pieces threatening to take. You play rook c3. Queen takes d4. And here you played the second move, which made me hurt a little physically. Why did you trade queens?
Yeah, I mean, I have less of a recollection of, but I think it was the idea that and I'm trying to remember where it goes. I think I remember where it goes from here, but I think part of it was the idea that, like, so if he takes, it does like royally. Well, you know what? Now I don't even remember, because I was like, maybe I was thinking I could get control of like the F file via like capturing that way, but like obviously doubling up the pawn structure there is trash. Generally speaking, I would say I have a bias towards trading, especially in a faster game, like in a game where I don't have that much time on the clock. The idea that like the simplification would benefit me as well. But I do probably overtrade. I think that's something my audience would say as well.
Yes. Someone in chat already said he loves to trade queens. They're also begging me to ask you different questions on subjects, but I've learned.
Don't worry about that. Yeah.
The chat, you calm down. So here's the thing about this position. It's a good way of kind of thinking about it. In any position, if a pair of pieces for you and your opponent disappear, like, which pair do you want to disappear?
Right.
The truth is, at this point, like, your piece superiority is, if you look at like any computer analysis here, it's going to tell you it's just the C file. That's the only reason you have an advantage, is if you go in like this. Otherwise, like, these pieces are not great, but you don't want a queen trade because you're the attacking side. So you only want to trade queens if you're up a lot of material or if you're under attack. And in this case, you're definitely not under attack. So it would have been better to just go here. And actually, you're threatening checkmate.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact, how does black stop this? I'm not sure it's possible. Like, knight takes, check, here, 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 and there's no back rank mate.
Yeah, you bishop back to F1.
Yeah, both bishops, actually.
Bishop that's F1. Right, yeah. I was reinforced by the queen.
Is this scary?
Not really. I mean, you can get out easily with that, but you could also take the advantage back yourself super easily with either this or that, and then you probably mate them, I think, before they even get a chance to. Yeah.
Good. That's the main thing I wanted to bring up here. I mean, h3 is a last resort. Actually, probably bishop c1 even, because you have the queen protecting.
Right. Yeah.
To disconnect. But I did want you to, not freak out. People freak out. They see bishop d3. They're like, oh, I messed it up. Oh my god. No, just go hunt their king down. You're fine. Actually, you have something very cool. You don't even have to give a mate. You can check, and like bring the rook back to be like ultra fancy.
No, that's nice.
But yes, you can also just hunt them down and checkmate them. After this, the game is now like totally different because you're not attacking. You're, I guess, slightly worse. Why? Down one pawn.
Yes.
Just down one pawn, right? So I think... But your opponent in this position could have played a very good move, which he didn't play. He played king e7, which is garbage.
Yeah, it was very trash.
Yeah, very, very bad move.
I remember that one. Why is it bad?
No. You punished it, but I'm saying, why is king e7 bad? What's the best move here for black?
Let me think about that. Again, it's nice to have some more free time, because I'm pretty sure I had like 90 seconds left on the clock at this point.
That won't be easy, no.
Trying to think of what would be the best move. Well, obviously, like, they want to get their rook developed, which is why they moved king to e7 in the first place, so that they could have access to the back rank. But I feel like the way that they gain an advantage here, Like if I look at it from the perspective of the black pieces, their knight, now that d4 doesn't exist, actually has a lot more flexibility. So I feel like developing that could be sensible, but I also wonder if it isn't something a little bit cheekier, like due to the fact that they have like a more contiguous pawn structure, if they can't just push these like with maybe something like f6 and start to dismantle me that way. But I don't know how to move backwards, by the way.
Oh no, you just left click if you want to get rid of anything.
Oh,
Left
okay,
click
okay,
anywhere.
yeah. So that's my hunch, but I'd love to know the reality.
Just got hit with the word contiguous. I'm still recovering.
It's kind of it's unbroken, and then it stretches like from D to H, whereas I only have like H to E. So they can trade pawns in such a way that they can get some freedom to get them to the back rank.
So, little checklist to always, like I said, this concept of like instinct and coming up with a move, like just instantly that you will see it will come to your mind very, very quickly. For the concept of forcing moves.
Mm-hmm.
So attacks on the king, checks. That's just number one for yourself and for them. Just scan it if that exists. The second one is a capture. So in this position, the only capture they have is this, which is not good.
Right.
But the third one is like the concept of attacks. So attacking something in your position, which is worth.
Ah, wait, you hit me with a light bulb there. Can they just go like bishop to b1?
Well, that actually, yes, but who's worth even more than a pawn in your position, which they can attack right now. But yes, bishop b1 is a yes.
All right. Oh yeah, like pawn to d4.
Yeah, and notice what's happening when they play pawn to d4.
What's happening when they move pawn to d4? Oh, they're forcing me off of the protection of the e pawn. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you lose that pawn, it's going to be very bad because it's like an avalanche.
Yeah.
The 5-on-3. So d4 will come to mind a lot faster, and this bishop is just a beast. I mean, it's surviving the whole game. So king e7, yes, but that's what you have to think about too. d4, forcing move. So d4, knight e5, and then by the way, you obviously find.
I felt great about that move.
Yeah, it's a nice move. It's aesthetic. It makes them just go back, and then bishop d3. You gave away this. You need to follow the path of the aesthetic move. Where should the bishop live forever?
Probably d6 at that point. It controls way too much space to give up.
Don't even think about just bishop d6. I mean, rook, bishop, boom, everybody. And then you can glue the center shut with f4 in the future so that they can never get rid of this.
Yeah.
And yeah, bishop d6. Anytime you have this and bishop d6, like... it just end the whole game. It's done. But of course you want to trade the bishops. Now, he blunders immediately. This is a fantastic move. When you're down 2 pawns, you need to attack things that are weak.
Yeah.
When you're up 2 pawns, you need to not create weaknesses. This creates a weakness of what?
The pin on the bishop to b2.
Yes, the pin, and the real like instructive thing is every pawn he has is on a light square.
Yeah.
Everything of value is on a dark square, and you have a dark squared bishop. So that's why you can go here, and it looks like he's holding everything together. But you go chop, 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 and all of a sudden it's not so simple. And I mean, f4, by the way, doesn't work, but it's very close. Because you see, you want to take this pawn.
Yeah.
So this is bad because you can play what?
Well, I guess like h3.
Yeah, and what about more violent?
More violent than h3.
There's a more forcing move than attacking the knight.
Oh, I guess you would just take the knight with your rook instead.
Yes.
And then you get the pawn and then also the rook out of after.
Yeah. But bishop e5, rook g6, I think is also very good. One instructive moment here I just wanted to show. f4 looks like it wins, but it has a drawback. So I always say this is like the danger level concept. So the knight is hanging.
Mm-hmm.
but let's say black won't move it. What is black's most forcing move in this position? Using that hierarchy. There's one check, but it loses the knight, so...
Pawn to h4?
Yeah, and now you have to move the rook away, like, somewhere. So, if something like h4, the best move for you is now probably to go here. So that if take, you have this still. And then it's kind of the same thing, but... I'm just kind of... This is how you think about this. You want to play f4, but then there's h4. So... the way it's happened in the game is he made a very 1500 level mistake. he lost his mind. He lost the g6 pawn, and then in the next few moves, he literally lost every goddamn pawn he had.
He went mega tilt at this point. I was like, it's just a joke at this point.
Yeah, he malfunctioned a little bit. And this is instructive. We can learn from our opponents. Of course, the best move here is you have to bring the king.
Yeah.
And then you oftentimes can even chuck this other pawn. Like, just chuck this and just go with these guys. Yeah. And also rook c8. Yeah. Why rook c8? Because open file and then active rook in the endgame. So this game had like a few things. It had the opening, but then he survived it even though he played... It's like weird because a game like that, if you run it through the analysis... will be like, you're terrible, you're the worst person ever. He gave you 30 missed wins.
Yeah.
Have you ever analyzed and then you don't even know why it's a missed win?
Sometimes I'm like, oh, obviously this would have been better when I look at it for more than 10 seconds. And then sometimes it's like, this move puts you 1.5 points up from your previous position. And then I follow the line down and I'm like, only a computer could find that in 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I was watching Bodhi, who started as a total beginner, and I was watching his stream, and the engine wanted him to defend the pawn. And defending the pawn was -6. What he played was like -4. I was like, you have to defend the pawn. He was like, what the... I don't know. So that also happens. But the rest of this game was beautiful. So he traded rooks in a losing pawn endgame.
Yeah, terrible move.
Don't do that. And then you just went full Magnus here. King, G pawn. Look at this. Look at this beautiful conversion. King D4, and just beautiful, excellent execution. G pawn as a decoy, and like everything about that game was good with the exception of two moves. A little bit slow on the B3, but most importantly was the queen trade.
Yeah.
Definitely. I always say this, it's like you have to stay away from creating your own meta. Like, I like to trade pieces. It makes the position easier. No. It's like the best move is going to be the best move. If it's the best move to trade in the position, you trade. And if not, then you don't trade.
Yeah, I've never actually thought about it that way. Like, even when I came into this conversation, I was like, I like open games. I prefer to play like this, but that's a better way to think about it, I think, is kind of like meta agnostic. Now, like, why do I need coaching? Like, I've got a 100% win rate.
Exactly. Yeah, I have not pulled up a game yet, and then where you were on the losing side. But
it happens. It happens.
Your kid distracted you. It's never. It's never the full story. I love c5, by the way. I love that you play the c pawn instead of knight c6. I keep telling beginners to stop doing this crap. Like, oh my God.
Like I want my bishop to be useful at some point. So why don't we try to like something like this to maybe get it out there?
Yes, thank you. Oh my gosh, chat. Wait, I feel like I have like 3 sons. The chat is 2 of them, and I'm telling the chat like, why can't you be like my oldest son? Like, everything he does is good. I guess learning chess when you're younger really does help, though.
It sticks, yeah. I'm surprised.
Yeah. You want to know something funny?
Okay.
You're in a Caro-Kann now.
Oh, really? That is funny.
Yeah, because you're transposed.
Yeah, I capture with the c pawn, I guess.
Yeah, and then it's like the exchange Caro-Kann. So that's called a transposition. So the only thing is these positions are very tricky to navigate because they're so solid.
That's why I want to trade. Let's open it up a bit after I closed it with my opening.
Oh, and that's why in this position you took the knight because he traded.
Yeah, it's a bias for sure.
Okay, you have something better. Knight takes e5 is your most forcing move, but it's not the best. Okay. So this is something called continuity. So a piece moves I want you to think not just what is it attacking. So this is attacking this, and maybe there, and maybe there. But it used to guard something.
Okay.
What did it used to guard?
It used to guard. Ah, very clever. It used to guard d4,
Yep.
which is now open. Okay. And
Yeah,
they
someone's
can't
saying-
capture with the pawn, obviously.
Yes. Oh, they can. You would, they'd
Well,
get your
it's
knight
not,
and your rook.
yeah. I guess
Yeah,
it's
so-
close to equivalent, but
Well, the problem is that after that, everything else falls apart. Your queen
Yeah.
just takes everybody. Yeah, knight takes d4 is what? Oh my god. Computer is just the worst thing in the world. It's trying to tell me that after queen a4, there are still chances. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. Look at this. This attacks the knight,
mhm.
and when the knight moves back, the bishop attacks your queen, and the queen attacks your bishop with the knight. Yeah. Good. Of course.
Probably
Yes.
something I wouldn't have seen.
I didn't see it either, so you don't have to see it. 9 times out of 10, knight takes d4 will be the best move. And no one in a million years, if they see queen a4, bishop e3, you report them probably. You just, I mean, that's like this, you play knight takes d4, and 9 times out of 10, the concept itself is good enough.
Mhm.
But okay, we trade. We're attacking, not really attacking. I mean, it's defended. I like this, just getting the... Now, you see your bishop kind of has no
Future.
role. Yeah, it has
Yeah.
like... Bishop f5. Ah!
So I thought the rook would have now maybe some access on the e file.
And the queen can't take because it's guarding this.
Ah, you know what? I hope I thought of that in the moment.
You did, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, to be honest, it's queen f5, queen b2 is very interesting because like there's this and there's this and there's this and there's a lot of stuff happening.
I definitely, one of the things I remember is I was like, especially if I can get them to play f4 first,
Oh.
then this knight, it becomes like, you'll never get it out of there.
Yes, it's 100% right. Very happy you pointed that out. See, like people when they're first starting out, they're looking at stuff like this. They're looking at all the one move attacks, and the fact that you're thinking if my opponent plays f4, I get an outpost from my knight. All right. So are you winning the next PogChamps? Like, what are we doing here?
I don't know if I've got the intestinal fortitude to compete. Like, I can't imagine going into something with a high rank is very intimidating when expectations are high. Because if you make a blunder, and thousands of people are watching, you're never going to live it down. It's going to define your career for like the next 5 years.
I was gonna say like 20 minutes, but yeah. I mean, don't hang checkmate in 6 moves. That has been definitely a legendary clip. But if you lose like a tough fight in the finals, I mean, come on, it's good to end up in that situation. So, people keep telling me to say pot play.
Yeah, that's one of the games I play is I have a notable blunder for sure. And then I Streisand affected it, by trying to ignore it. Now everybody brings it up even more often. So now I have to pretend to be like I'm like that meme image of the Wojak crying, but he's got the smiling mask over his face. So I got to be like that all the time.
I know nothing, and I take no bait. So y'all should go distract yourself with the 6-move checkmate thing that I mentioned. So knight e4, I like it. F3 isn't so scary because again you can just bring it right back. Rook e3 is a cool move. Rook e3 is a cool move because he has some long-term hope of going here, although it's never going to quite happen.
Yeah.
So now you punish this move immediately. Bishop g5. Nice. Rook f3. So, the next move kind of confuses me a little bit. Rook f8.
Oh, dude, I remember that was actually a misclick.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Because I'm in there and I'm going like, well, I could do, like this
Yes.
or the whatever. And then I like just try to click to cancel and it moves the piece that I had highlighted.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I was gonna say Rook f8 is okay, yeah, I was gonna. All right, that makes sense.
I probably misclick like I would say 1 time every 3 games. So like the fact that my rating is doing so well, I think actually I'm probably like a 22 to 2300 if you take those out.
I I think more actually.
Maybe like 4000.
Okay, I mean, I was thinking like 2700, but yeah, I mean, I think okay, we could go 4K. We could go 4K. I want to just point out that a move like G6 here is not scary. A lot of people they don't want to play a move like G6 because yeah, I'm weakening my king. You know, people have these abstract concepts of I'm weakening my king, but how? How is the king weak? Like, okay, the bishop controls some squares, but who can attack the black king from white's position? Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody. So yeah, G6 is fine. Okay, he takes F6. Not bad. Attacks the bishop. Yeah, I'm very okay. So here we have a moment. Here we have a moment. You took because
I always do.
Okay, I wasn't gonna say that. You said that. There's a move here which I did see. Forcing moves. So you can't play bishop takes f4. So what's your other most forcing move?
Pawn to g6.
So pawn to g6 will be the second move.
Okay.
You have to play a different move to attack the rook first. So if you play g6 now, what does white play? Forcing move for white with the rook.
Oh, they take d5 with the rook?
Yes. So you take the bishop, and what do they do? Continuity. What did that pawn used to protect?
The knight. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. So something like g6 here, and now the knight has no guard. This is very bad. You don't want this to happen, which that's hard to see. People would miss that because it's much more natural to go here thinking, yeah, I win this is good.
Yeah.
And then
so instead, maybe like queen to e6 first,
which glues it together. Then g4, then g6.
Okay.
That's the point.
Yeah, and the rook is totally screwed at that point.
Yeah, and I think the best thing for white to do would be to take and maybe take again. Yeah, so it's this, and then something like this, attacking your rook. But this looks terribly unnatural, again, because something like this. And who is actually benefiting from the opening of the position?
Yeah.
Because you put your rooks on those two
Yeah,
squares.
we are, for sure.
So rather than take, just look around, like this rook is a little bit suspicious. Okay, but you play rook e8. It goes back to f5. God, it's so persistent. Queen e6.
Oh, I remember this game now. I feel like I trade queens pretty soon.
Uh-oh. Do you?
Maybe not.
Okay, so you... Queen f7. I like this. Here. Oh my god, does that actually work? How is his rook just like... I gotta see if there's something. I was gonna suggest the move f5 here to just kind of like strand his rook.
Yeah.
But he still can, he's... Because rook h4, there's this. That's the problem. And yeah, I would try to hunt down the rook. But somehow he just gets away. There's like this mad chase here for this rook. Knight c5 is a good move. I like b6. I like all this. This is good. Rook e2. Nice. Nice. Knight. Okay. Excellent. Good. Did you play knight d2? Knight d2 is kind of a savage move.
Did I play knight d2? I would say almost certainly not.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, I only ask because you just played knight c4, so sometimes people just want to keep moving forward. So knight d2 attacks the rook and threatens this, which would mean...
that's true. Yeah, I have another position in a recent game that's actually very similar to this, where I also did not play knight d2, and now I'm realizing that that's a common theme.
Somehow, like, yeah, because you're so in a position like this. Let's say knight d2 aside, like you play queen g6. Black is doing fine, just because you have much more active pieces.
Yeah,
that's like it. You're down 2 pawns, which is very bad, but you have much more active pieces, which is very good, and your opponent's pieces are really passive. This move is no good because, well, first thing I just see is this, and I don't like this, and this is all guarded.
Yeah,
somehow.
I can't take that for sure.
But remember last game, b3 was a problem?
Hmm.
Now it's a problem for your opponent. And yeah, again, here, knight d2 is really nice. Knight d2 gets in there and attacks the rook and the pawn. I'm curious, why is this? Oh, because you can just get closer.
That's what I was thinking, but I'm still not sure I like it. But if the computer likes it, then, I'm willing to agree to disagree.
Yeah, it's... this is what I just kind of discount what computer says sometimes because it's just so absurd. Knight e4, nice, so he can't even go there, and now this is hanging. Oh my god, this is so... Take, bam. I love it. Two things are under attack. This and this.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And now I remember. Him just not getting that one, and then the game is over.
Yeah, you found this. I would have gotten this guy. Oop, not there. Again, that would have been a misclick. Yeah, rook e2. But how clean was this conversion? Ooh, extra clean.
I think actually, I was watching this back the other day. I think I actually made a mistake and could have done it faster, but I'm trying to think of where it happened. It was from...
Oh, here you can take.
Yeah,
this.
I shouldn't. Yeah, instead of going, what did I do on this one instead?
You took this pawn, but you can.
Yeah, that's right. I could have just taken that.
But it's okay. It's hard
anyway.
because it's like just get rid of the pawn. Yeah, the reason this is winning faster is because it's just a check and you win the knight.
Yeah.
And then once you win the knight, it's the pawn, the d pawn is never going anywhere. First of all, your king can stop it.
Yeah.
So the endgame rule of the square. So your king is in the correct area, and you just pick this guy up, and that's easy. So, I mean, this game was a clash of pieces in the middle, and like the hardest thing about a game like this, you want to take something general away from it, right? You want to be like, well, in this game, I did this and this. I'm never going to break that rule again. Which I guess the only rule for your case would just be don't just be so trade happy.
Yeah.
That would probably be the only thing, and I can't think of another. I mean, that moment where you could have played queen e6 and g6 is just a bit more forcing. Don't just, well, yeah, I guess don't misclick. Yes. Good rule to follow. Good rule to follow.
At least it was like a tempo misclick instead of leaving a piece out to dry.
Yeah, actually. That's a good point. I have one more game.
Okay.
So let me pull this thing up. And then can give some different ideas with the white pieces.
Oh, I know I lose this one because the guy I remember the Georgian flag. This will be humbling.
Okay. So this was an exchange. Caro-Kann again. So similar structure to last game. Oh wait, no, not so similar because you played knight d7 this time. But it... Okay, yeah, bishop d6 is a little bit better. Bishop b4 is... I mean, it's just the bishop is happier here because it can look this way, and you're less likely to trade on c3 in these positions.
Okay.
I will say that because look, think about it like this: how many pawns do you have on light squares?
Yeah, almost all.
Right. So if you then trade the guy who controls the dark squares, it has to be for good reason. It has to be for...
Yeah, like my reasoning, it doesn't think far enough ahead, because what I would think is like, oh, if my opponent has no response here, then they would have to capture with the b2 to c3, and then their pawn structure would be screwed. And I'm guilty sometimes of playing my moves out without examining the opponent's possible responses instead, for sure.
No, but bishop b4 completely okay, because you do have a very good point. Like you have the open c file, and like I see later you play queen a5. But I think you go to battle here before you castle. So just bishop d6 and then castling, and then after that you can do all this stuff. But otherwise, yeah, take, everything's good. Queen a5. Knight takes, but yeah. Oh. Don't trade unless you have to.
It's a common refrain.
yeah, because like here your bishop's just very happy. Your bishop can always drop back, and but okay, it's fair here. And what's the evaluation here?
I like white's position better. They have the bishop versus the knight. Their pawn structure is a little twisted up, but they have some moves that I think give them some advantage. Their queen is probably developed in a better position.
Maybe a little bit more active. Yeah, they're also threatening this.
Yeah, that's true. Which I think is actually, that might be how it proceeds. I can't remember.
But what's interesting is that in a position like this, like let's just give, you know, the exchange. Like this is bad, but it's not so bad for black. Because who's going to attack you now? And you're just going to create counterplay on this pawn. And then this pawn. So it's not like completely terrible. You play knight f6. I think white is a little bit better. I would be inclined to agree. Now, machine here will always say equality, because it's not concerned with the attack, and it thinks that black is gonna be in time here. So you're a positional genius. You double these pawns and queen a4 and queen c2. Very, very, you know, guy goes here. That's a bad move. Like, that move sets off all my alarms. I'm like, something's wrong with that move. That can't be any good. And then you do this. Very nice. Very nice. Now, he sacrifices.
Well, I was surprised by, for sure.
I guess this was his idea, right? So all this. You're better here.
I was going to say, now I actually prefer my position.
Yeah, this transformation's no good, because this is all very weak. This is all very weak. Now, c4, here you're just, I mean, absolute gamer god. Queen d2, like, look at this beautiful move. Queen e3. Don't trade the queens. Take the pawn.
Oh, I'm proud of myself. Even though I lost this one, I'm proud of myself in hindsight.
Yes. c5. And now it's I would have brought the rook. I like queen b2, but I would have brought the rook. Queen b2 is fine. He goes rook d1. The problem is you gave him one full move and now he defends his pawn.
Yeah.
And a move like f5 you have to be very careful of in endgames. Why? What's wrong with f5?
I guess my initial hunch is that like it leaves this diagonal like so open, especially with the queen already being on black space. It feels like it's not hard for them to, you know, get behind you know, somewhere in like on the 7th or the 8th row and start causing me to have to defend my pawns at the back.
Yes. Number one, you weaken this entire diagonal to your king. Specifically, what physical thing is now much weaker?
The e6 pawn.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you weaken all this, you weaken this, and now anytime I get in here, I'm going to start taking things with check, which you don't like. You got to activate your rook. Like, you have to go here. Like, don't even think. Rook d8 will almost always be right, because now you have a target. Queen e4 isn't the best move, because you would lose the a3 pawn. And for example, if this, black to move,
I think you just captured the pawn at d4, because if they take with the rook, you can force mate.
Okay, so you fell into my trap.
Oh, no.
I'm very happy you did this, because what did you just calculate? You calculated rook d4. Rook d4 is not possible because back rank mate. I'm going to play rook d4.
Okay.
But in chess, you have to prove yourself wrong. You can prove yourself right 5 times. You prove yourself wrong once, you don't play the move.
Okay.
What's wrong with rook d8? Sorry, rook d4. What's wrong with rook takes d4? What can white do? Forcing moves.
Instead of rook takes d4.
Yes. Well, that would be nice, but yeah. So rook d4, what will white do?
Oh, I see. Okay. Let me think about it. So it's probably, it's a check, I assume. Maybe like queen to c8 or queen to b8.
Yes.
Which would force...
It's one of them and not the other.
It's one of them and not the other. Okay.
Think about a follow-up check. You gotta punch once to the stomach and then once... I don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you would do b8 and then I would go g7 and then you would go...
Yes.
Maybe to e5?
Yes, not maybe, 100%. Yes. Yes, you're very, very, polite, maybe just safety net. Yeah, queen b8, queen e5, boom, you win the rook, and the game is over. So yeah, rook d4 is a perfect example of why you need to scan their forcing moves. Check, check, and you lose the rook the wrong way. Now you just lose.
Yeah.
So,
thankfully, I lost in a more dignified way.
Well, the question still applies. What's the best move here for black? It's not rook d4.
What about queen takes c5?
Yes, which is not the first move we're drawn to.
No, because it looks stupid at first glance for sure. But
Yes. And the thing is, now you can go for this, and I think objectively, black should be winning at this, like, at this stage, especially between 215, 1550, 1594. I think it's sufficient, but it's hard. It's hard to win this endgame. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, this is actually not mate anymore, just so we're clear.
yeah.
So you would go for this, and so you'd get queen in 4 versus queen in 3. Which is not the simplest thing to win. It could be winnable, and you would win it by, like, hiding your king away from checks and trying to push your pawns.
Or play for time, because this is it's a 10-minute game. So
if it's 10-minute, that's even more so. And that's why one move is so important, because if you had played rook d8 here, you don't let me move my rook. That's the whole thing. Is like, you just don't let me move my rook. And then slowly you start picking up the pawns. And f5 is what happens in the game. Okay, g3 is g3. I see a lot of queen moves. A lot of, like, poking at him with the queen. He gets rook b2. His best move here would have probably been this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because he's trying to, he's trying to get in. Rook b2. Yeah, now you're up the pawn, but you're playing so passively.
Yeah.
And he's like, now he's harassing you.
I try to force a trade. This is I can smell this one coming a mile away.
His rook, man, like, traveled the whole. Okay, rook f7. By the way, his best move is not even to take, which he doesn't do. And now he's playing for a win. Like, because of all these weaknesses, somehow his rook traversed the entire board. Man, this is actually very scary. This is very, very scary. So you play queen d7. Did you? You ran. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is terrifying.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But you're not yet lost. It's only scary. Queen d7. Uh-oh. Now it's extra scary. Oh, now it might just be lost. Rook f8. Oh my god. This guy played really well after this. Okay, he repeated once. Oh my god, he found queen e5, and if this, there's like a mate. Oh, come on. Yeah, that'll happen. Sometimes someone plays a really good game, or their older brother starts playing the moves for them. But in this case, I actually think he screwed up the advantage. And then here you have to, like, escape, right? So he plays, like, rook d6, queen e7. Oh, and he gets this. Ah. Okay.
Yeah.
But, okay. A game like this, you just go, like, it was a long game. I mean,
yeah, you're like, I didn't want to win that one anyway.
Yeah, that's just, yeah, okay. But it's a very tough position, and the real reason why we lost this is his rook just got active. Like, you go back 10 moves, his rook is, like, the worst piece on the board. Like, it's just stuck. So yeah. Queen and rook endgame, activate the rook, and target this, and try not to weaken your structure too much, because it can kind of come back to bite. But are you enjoying the Caro-Kann? The question?
I would say so. Like, I previously, like, I always felt like on black I was playing more reactive, which I guess is by design in the game in the first place. But now I feel like it, at least at this level, it tends to throw people off a little bit more than just responding with e5. And generally speaking, I feel comfortable when both players are improvising. So I think that it being not really like that unusual, but definitely not the most common response has led to some situations that have an advantage for me.
We're already like an hour and 20 into this, but wait, are we? Yes, we are. Why don't we play a game?
Okay, sure.
And